As we get ready to commence the day's proceedings, kindly stand for the national anthem of Grenada by Ms. Shireen Brazan, and I'll ask you to please remain standing for the invocation by Bishop Clyde Martin Harvey. Ms. Brazan.
Hail, Grenada, land of ours, we pledge ourselves to thee. Heads, hearts, and hands in unity to reach our destiny. Ever conscious of God, being proud of our heritage. May we with faith and courage aspire, build, advance as one people, one family. God bless our nation.
It has become customary in our Caribbean islands to have an invocation on occasions such as this. But we must be careful not to make the mistake of thinking that simply because we call on the name of God, that all is well and all shall be well. And so this morning as we begin, I want not simply to say an invocation, but invite you to reflect on the implications of a passage from Deuteronomy chapter 30. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today. I set before you life or death, blessing or curse. Choose life then, so that you and your people may live in the land of the Lord your God, obeying his voice, clinging to him. For to this, in this your life consists, and on this depends your long stay in the land which the God of our fathers has given you. Choose. Choose. What choices are we making? What choices will undergird this meeting? Earlier, for those who were here, Prime Minister Gonzalez indicated that he made a choice yesterday for colored socks, and today his prayer was answered. A simple thing, but it invites us all to ask, what choices fundamentally have we made for our own lives, and then what choices do we make for the lives of our people, and in the context of this meeting, for their real security. So to take a deep breath and settle your spirit even as you stand. Ask, what choices have I made? And then pray for the grace in the context of this meeting to make choices that are in the best interests, of course, in the country you represent, but also in the best interests of all of God's Caribbean people. Rally, rally round the West Indies, now and forever. Rally, rally round the West Indies, now and forever. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God and of God's people, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you throughout this meeting and in all the choices you make. Amen.
Please be seated. Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada and Chairman of the RSS Council of Ministers. Dr. the Honorable Terence Drew, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Honorable Dale Marshall, SC MP, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Barbados. Honorable Robeson Ben, Minister of Home Affairs, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs, Commonwealth of Dominica. And the Honorable Leslie Mondesir, Attorney General of St. Lucia. Her Excellency Linda Taglia Latella, Ambassador of the United States to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, and the OECS. Her Excellency Malgorzata Wasilewska, Ambassador of the European Union to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean states, OECS, and CARICOM. Executive Director of the RSS, Commodore Arrington Sherlin. Dr. Jean Leon, President of the Caribbean Development Bank. Permanent Secretaries and other ministry officials, Regional Security System Security Chiefs, other members of the RSS team, other invited guests, members of the media, good morning. My name is Rhea Reed Bowen, and I perform the role of Program Coordinator and MC on occasion for the RSS headquarters. And on this occasion, I have the privilege of guiding you through our brief program for this morning's open session of the annual RSS Council of Ministers meeting. The RSS just celebrated its 40th year of service to its constituents, and it is an organization that can be considered as one that punches well above its weight. And the able gentleman tasked with this responsibility of spearheading our coordinated efforts on behalf of the member states is Commodore Sherland. And without further ado, I will cede the floor to Commodore for the welcome remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rhea. The Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada and Chairman of the Regional Security System Council of Ministers, other members of the Council, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Bishops of St. George, Bishop Clyde Martin Harvey, heads of regional institutions, heads of the military and police forces of the RSS, representatives of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant good morning. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the 48th meeting of the Council of Ministers of the Regional Security System. Mr. Chairman, at the outset, let me thank you for what I would consider the splendid arrangements made for the conduct of this meeting. I am of the view that the arrangements have undoubtedly created an environment conducive for productive deliberations and ensure that both the RSS family and our guests are well looked after. I wish to specifically welcome the delegation of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, ably led by the Honorable Robeson Ben, Minister of Home Affairs, to their first meeting of the RSS Council of Ministers. I also extend a special welcome to their first meeting of the Council of Ministers, the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, and the Honorable Philip Pierre, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Similarly, victorious in recent elections in the RSS member states are the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, and the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Although they are not here physically, I extend congratulations to them as they continue to contribute to the development of our region. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our realistic quest for sustained, stable, and peaceful societies, we continue our thrust to reduce the impact of transnational organized crime, climatic events, and other natural and man-made hazards to a manageable public safety concern for our member states, in order to re-establish the structures and enablers for further economic development. Inherent in this approach is the intermingling relationship of development and security. This complex relationship reinforces the ultimate goal of security practitioners and seeks to refocus the citizen as the center of gravity in security programming. It is therefore no sheer luck that we have in our presence representation from the Caribbean Development Bank, one of the key strategic partners of the RSS. It therefore gives me great pleasure to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Hyginus Leon, the President of the CDB. Sir, I look forward to your words of wisdom as you address the topic, Achieving Security and Development in the Caribbean through Regional Cooperation. At the RSS headquarters, we executed our program of work in support of member states. We have achieved considerable results in countering illicit trafficking in the maritime domain, in weakening the financial strength of transnational criminal actors, and in strengthening police investigations by the use of digital evidence. Permit me a few moments to share some of our achievements for 2022. We had 91 successful counter-drug missions that was supported by the Air Wing, which resulted in seizures of 918 kilograms of cocaine and 2,172 kilograms of marijuana. Our digital forensics lab completed or initiated 405 cases that were submitted by our member states as well as the Bahamas. We would have, through our asset recovery unit, mentored on live cases involving assets valued at over $95 million. We produced and assisted our member states in guiding them in cash seizures valued at over $4.5 million, restraints valued at $8.7 million, and confiscation valued at $227,000, and cash forfeitures at $2.4 million. We have also provided critical mentorship to national investigative and prosecutorial authorities on money laundering cases before the courts, valued at $13.7 million. Through our training institute, we have delivered training programs for 1,069 persons across the regional security system. As we closed out 2022, we renewed our engagement with the European Union to provide further capacity building opportunities for the RSS in countering transnational organized crime and in testing the full strength of the RSS response mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, the achievements reported today cannot be solely attributed to the RSS headquarters. Rather, they materialize out of strategic partnership with our allies. In recognizing the important contribution that the international development partners made to the RSS, I wish to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Linda Tagliatella, United States Ambassador to OECS and Barbados, and Ms. Margozata Vashvileska. I hope I haven't done too much damage to that name. Goshi, as all of us know her. European Union Ambassador to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, OECS, CARICOM, and CARIFORUM. We welcome you as friends and supporters of the RSS. The past year for the region has been relatively quiet in terms of our member states not being impacted by any climatic events or severe weather systems. There has, however, been a noticeable increase in gun violence that has had a deleterious effect on some of our member states. This violence is taking a rather heavy toll on our societies, not only in respect of loss of life, but also with injuries and psychological trauma. In replying to this challenge, I wish to posit that we must apply hard and soft responses through a whole of society approach. Soft, through constant positive messaging to our young people, with the aid of social development programs that consistently targets troubled youth, and programs that addresses issues related to recidivism. The hard responses require the commitment to put in place the necessary infrastructure to secure our borders and prevent the guns from entering our space, as well as to treat the issues of corruption. I say corruption because I believe the only way that these guns can get into our countries is through our borders and through individuals who facilitate such actions. At the RSS, we look forward to assisting our member states with diagnosing crime and security problems through the Regional Crime Observatory. We will continue to implement and assist with anti-corruption programs, and we will continue to assist and enhance the border security framework through robust assessments and adjustments to the coordinated response model. As we embark on our discussions today on the best approaches to tackling the common crime and security issues which compound us, we must equally assess the likely environment and the manifestation of the threats and risks to come in the medium to long term. I foresee a security environment which will continue to be affected by the infliction of serious climatic events, resulting in migratory pressures and post-conflict and post-disaster economies created and/or sustained by transnational criminal organizations. The nefarious use of technology and artificial intelligence in the evolvement of conventional and non-conventional threats, and a revised global regulatory and financial framework which will grapple with the protection of this framework from transnational criminal organizations and the sustainment of fiat currency and corresponding regulation of the financial sector in light of the crypto and blockchain technology. This signifies that our approach must be multifaceted due to the all-encompassing definition of security. It further suggests a need to look more seriously at how civil society and other players in the international system can play a part in addressing the security concerns in partnership with traditional law enforcement. The inclusion of non-traditional actors in the illicit networks counter strategy and the emergence of environmental and cyber threats would therefore underpin the need for a network governance model to provide the framework through which this collaboration will take place. RSS therefore looks forward to engaging all of our partners to see how best we can be prepared to tackle these shared concerns as we reinforce our motto, strength through unity, and we continue to build resilient societies. I bid you all a warm welcome and thank you for your attention.
To the tremendous successes made by RSSHQ, our next speaker is no stranger to achieving successes much like the RSS, having been elected to serve as Prime Minister of Grenada. I now invite the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada and Chairman of the RSS Council of Ministers, to deliver his opening remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Permit me to adopt the extended and extensive protocol list and to welcome those of you who are visiting Grenada again back, and those who are visiting for the first time, a warm welcome. It's my honor to host you, and I do hope that you have both a productive, enjoyable, and above all, safe stay while you are here. It has been my genuine honor to hold the chairmanship of the Regional Security System RSS Council of Ministers in my capacity as Prime Minister and Minister of National Security for Grenada during its Ruby celebrations. It is also my distinct pleasure to be hosting the first face-to-face meeting of the RSS Council of Ministers since the 2019 meeting held in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Over the past 40 years, the regional security system has undoubtedly proven that cooperation and collaboration between governments and security institutions, whether regionally or internationally, can result in tremendous benefits to the people of the region. The RSS model as a non-governmental international organization with non-bureaucratic operational efficiency is admired by government officials and security practitioners globally. As Prime Minister of Grenada, the member state where the RSS Treaty was signed on March 5, 1996, replacing the 1982 Memorandum of Understanding, I am particularly delighted to welcome the Cooperative Republic of Guyana as the first country to join the regional security system in almost 30 years, since Grenada joined in 1985. This recent accession is tangible evidence that the RSS continues to provide significant value to regional security. Reflecting on the work of the regional security system, I'm immensely proud of the organization's record of accomplishment and its ability to pivot and adapt in response to converging threats. As Grenadians, we can never forget that the very first RSS operation in 1983 that restored the safety of our people and secured our streets, nor the overwhelming assistance rendered by our RSS family in the aftermath of the devastation wrought by Hurricane Ivan 2 decades later. As we emerge from 3 of the most challenging years in recent history, it would be remiss of me not to recognize and honor the efforts of staff at the RSS headquarters in adopting and executing their functions effectively in very, very trying circumstances. It is worth mentioning that the RSS Air Wing was single-handedly responsible for transporting COVID-19 samples from countries throughout the region to the Caribbean Public Health Agency CARFA laboratory in Trinidad and Tobago for testing. The grave dangers associated with this exercise cannot be overstated, as any exposure to the virus at the time was sure to result in dire consequences, not only for the individuals concerned, but also for their work colleagues, families, and friends. And during this period, the team also effectively managed the regional support needed following the volcanic eruption in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The officers of the RSS Air Wing, therefore, must be commended for their bravery and sterling dedication in serving the region throughout such dangerous circumstances. Even now, as we speak, the RSS has been deployed to a sister country of St. Lucia to assist in restoring order and calm to a section of the country that has recently experienced a spike in gun-related criminal activity. And I pause here because Commodore has emphasized the threat we are all facing from gun-related activity. And I have the sad and unfortunate news of reporting that last night, Grenada suffered a gun-related homicide with at least 6 shots being fired, resulting in a fatality. Preliminary indications may suggest that this was an execution-style hit and that the perpetrator may not have been originally from Grenada. So I'm highlighting the challenge that we face regionally, that the gun-related criminal activity, while we are sitting here meeting, the criminals are also sitting and oftentimes taking a regional approach to their criminal activity. Moreover, the Air Wing continues to provide valuable service, as many of my colleagues and myself here can attest, in moving our officials around the region due to the absence of adequate commercial airlift. And in fact, I think prior to last Thursday, since I've been Prime Minister, it was the first time that I traveled on a commercial flight between Grenada and Barbados. For the last 8 months, it has always been the RSS in one shape, form, or the other. It is therefore my hope that this challenge of inadequate airlift in the region will soon be addressed in a positive way, and that the Air Wing will be able to concentrate more fully on one of its primary missions of drug interdiction. While the RSS mechanism includes only 8 countries within the Caribbean, the people of our region, from the Bahamas to Guyana, have benefited from the excellent work of the RSS. Cognizant of regional security dynamics and the evolving security challenges of the region, the RSS continues to develop a range of initiatives aimed at enhancing the capabilities of our law enforcement agencies and security personnel. The RSS Training Institute, in collaboration with other directorates and the support of critical partners, facilitates the execution of training exercises that provide states and forces personnel the opportunity to develop requisite skill sets through practical real-life exercises, both strategic and tactical. This training is an essential prerequisite for successful operations when troops are deployed to any member state during an internal crisis or in the aftermath of a natural hazard. Notwithstanding its operational work, the RSS is more than the mere sum of its tactical response capabilities. Strategically, the institution is tasked with protecting and securing our nation's borders through the planning, preparation, and training of law enforcement and military agencies, the mentoring and development of financial investigators, the recovery and extraction of digital evidence, and the collection and analysis of crime data to support evidence-based policing. The RSS acknowledges that criminals and their associates adapt continually to the changing environment, and as such, the response mechanisms adopted to fight serious organized crime and transnational crime must align with the developing threat environment. Consistent with this understanding, the RSS continues to build out its capacity and that of member states in responding to transnational crime beyond a traditional approach of incarceration and fines. The vision is to bankrupt the criminals by removing their heartbeat, the money, the profit, or the assets involved in engineering or resulting from these criminal activities. To this end, the RSS, through its Asset Recovery Unit, the ARU, in collaboration with the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, is working to implement the FATF 40 recommendations and 11 immediate outcomes across member states. Further, the ARU cooperates with other agencies such as CARICOM Impacts to develop capacity in asset recovery and financial investigations in the wider Caribbean region. Our citizenry can rest assured that the response mechanisms of the RSS, along with its international diplomatic relations and partnerships, will function effectively to counter current and emerging threats to our societies. Our region is at present battling the scourge of firearms and ammunition importation into our countries from sources outside of our shores, where these menacing tools are manufactured. The easy access to firearms in our countries is one of the greatest threats that we currently face, and the various criminal activities spawned from the use of illegal firearms have far-reaching negative impacts on our people and societies. It is widely accepted that economic and social development are difficult to achieve where turmoil and security instability exist. We must therefore continue to make every effort to ensure that the security environment in our countries is such that it encourages investment and supports the several critical economic activities that drive our development. We recognize and appreciate the efforts of our international partners, including Interpol, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and other U.S. institutions in lending their assistance to stem the flow of these dangerous weapons. CARICOM has recently established the Gun Crime Intelligence Unit to assist in this effort. We also recognize the part that we in the region must play in strengthening our border protection mechanisms and reducing the demand for illegal firearms among our people, particularly our young people. One of the major considerations that our Council is tasked with is the approval of the annual budget for the work that the RSS headquarters is expected to coordinate and execute. It is no secret that the economies of our region are constrained and carry heavy social responsibilities, which restrict the amount of capital that can be allocated to the RSS and other regional institutions. We therefore have a tremendous appreciation for the contributions that our international partners continue to make to support the efforts of the RSS, in particular Canada, the European Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. The Caribbean Development Bank, and its president is here, also stands out as a regional institution and strategic partner, as they have provided tremendous support towards improving institutional capacity, refining cybersecurity policies, as well as the development and implementation of regional and national maritime strategies. This partnership is one of the many paths that the RSS is taking to ensure continued regional safety. In concluding, the challenges we face are complex and evolving, and we must continue to be proactive and nimble in our responses. This will require sustained effort and investment in the resources necessary to ensure the success of the RSS. As we continue to work towards the promotion of regional security, I call on all members of the RSS to remain committed to our shared vision and to work together in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration towards a safer and more secure future for our region. Thank you, and I wish everyone a fantastic day.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. As we reflect on the past year's achievements of the RSS, we acknowledge that our achievements are also attributed to strong partnerships and contributions from our strategic partners within and without the Anglophone Caribbean. In acknowledging the support from our key partners, I wish to take this opportunity to invite Her Excellency Linda Taglia Latella U.S. Ambassador to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, and OACS, to deliver remarks on this occasion.
If you don't mind, I will stay here. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Protocol having been established, I will proceed. It is truly a great honor to be here with you all today. As you know, the United States is a proud partner and strong supporter of the regional security system. Last year, we celebrated the 40th anniversary of this important institution. As I noted in my congratulatory message making the anniversary, every day, whether by air, land, or sea, the sustained efforts of the RSS ensure the collective safety, security, and prosperity of our shared neighborhood. This is a succinct statement of the important work that the RSS does. But as all of you know, there is a significant amount of resources and leadership that has gone into making this statement a reality. Eastern Caribbean countries created the RSS out of a need for a collective response to security threats. Over the years, these threats have become only more complex and multidimensional. From cyber threats to climate change to illicit trafficking and money laundering, the institution continues to grow and adapt so that it can better equip its member states to confront these challenges. As it does so, the United States will continue to stand by the RSS and invest in this partnership that we have developed over time. In particular, the RSS has a unique perspective on the threats that the Eastern Caribbean faces from transnational organized crime. To meet its core goal of providing immediate and threat-appropriate responses to all situations, the RSS must be forward-thinking and adaptable. Under the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, or CBSI, the United States continues to collaborate with the RSS on efforts to tackle the transnational criminal threat. Some examples of how countries benefit directly from the CBSI programs, both through the RSS and bilateral, include, first, technical assistance and equipment to improve maritime interdiction capabilities, including interceptor boats and logistics and maintenance support. Second, we provide advisory support to financial investigation units across the region that work diligently to deny criminals the proceeds of their offenses. Third, we support programs to modernize the criminal justice sector. And finally, we continue to invest in expanding digital forensic capabilities in the region. I'd like to spend just a minute highlighting these two items. Just as technology can improve our work, it also facilitates the work of transnational organized crime networks. Criminal activities facilitated by information technology keeps rising, particularly due to the use of mobile phones to plan and carry out criminal activities. As a result, more and more countries are relying on exploiting evidence on mobile devices to achieve successful prosecution. In 2017, the RSS, with the support of the United States, opened its digital forensic laboratory. The lab continues to grow and provide cyber and digital forensic analysis services to law enforcement and military organizations in the RSS member states. With a small staff and some sophisticated software and technology, the lab cleared over 400 cases in support of criminal investigations through the region. The United States is committed to continued support of the labs through training, expert exchanges, and securing accreditation. And to ensure that continued success, I strongly encourage all RSS member states to pass updated cybercrime laws. Turning to the justice sector modernization, the United States and the United Kingdom continue to support the efforts through the work of our criminal justice advisor, Sarah Abrams. Sarah continues to work in mentoring and advising your prosecutors and judges. We have also collaborated closely with your countries to draft modern criminal legislation so the Eastern Caribbean has effective tools to fight transnational crime. As I mentioned, security challenges continue to grow for everyone. However, every country represented here today benefits in some way from the RSS, whether it is through digital forensic analysis, capacity building through training, control of narcotic flows, or disaster assistance. And for that region, I would urge you all to ensure that the RSS receives adequate financial resources to fulfill its mission. The United States will continue to stand by the RSS, but it is just as important that its member states do so as well. This institution is a vital component to maintain peace and stability in the Eastern Caribbean. You are all valuable partners to the United States in the fight against transnational organized crime. You've proven time and again that we share the same concerns when it comes to protecting and improving life for all the citizens privileged to live here in this beautiful region. The United States looks forward to continuing our work with you. Thank you all for all that you do.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your timely and critical support to the RSS over the years. The support of the U.S. government in fomenting our approach to countering crime and security matters is invaluable to the Caribbean region. As we seek to deepen our relationships with reliable partners, it would be remiss of me if I didn't acknowledge the role of the European Union through its delegation office in Barbados in the achievements of the RSS, particularly in capacity building initiatives for our law enforcement institutions. Ambassador, the EU has become a staple in our strategic security engagements, much like the US ambassador and the members of the CDB team, and we value the support from all of our partners. I now hand over to Her Excellency Małgorzata Wasilewska to deliver her remarks.
Thank you very much, and as the person with the most difficult name to pronounce, I'm very happy to follow the example of my predecessor. All protocols observed. Good morning to everybody. I am happy and thankful to join you today at the annual RSS Council of Ministers. Being invited to the highest policy-making body of your organization proves once more your appreciation for our partnership with the organization. I want to reassure you about our continued commitment to your work and to our partnership. This meeting comes at particularly troubled times for the regional security context. Recent events in St. Lucia remind us of the societal consequences of the illegal circulation of firearms and the sobering reality that these weapons have been, for the most part, smuggled into the Eastern Caribbean. The increasing trafficking of firearms, as well as gold, timber, and waste, represent emerging threats confronting authorities on both sides of the Atlantic. Such illegal trades add to the long-standing issue of drug smuggling, making the work of law enforcement authorities more complex than ever. The RSS has demonstrated over the years a solid capacity to tackle new challenges by readapting strategies and methods to needs arising from its field of operations. Our delegation in Barbados, on behalf of the people of Europe, has realized a number of initiatives through our more than 15 years of collaboration with the RSS, especially in the area of strengthening the capacities of RSS member states, defense, and police officers. In this regard, we have recently kicked off a new project that will allow to deliver 6 training programs over the next 24 months. The first course on joint operational planning gathered 16 officers at the RSS Training Institute for 4 weeks between February and March of this year. We look forward to upcoming activities, which include a full-scale field training exercise scheduled for April 2024 in St. Lucia. I believe that contributing to a stronger and more efficient role of RSS in the region does not only have a positive impact for local communities, but it also indirectly impacts on making Europe a safer place, and for that we are very thankful. Our Deputy Secretary General of the Foreign Office, during her visit to RSS headquarters only last week, put it succinctly, noting that fighting transnational organized crime is a common priority both in the Caribbean and in the EU, since the illicit trade of drugs and firearms bear a heavy burden here as much as across the ocean. Our support to RSS is therefore part of a larger commitment of the EU to help ensure higher security standards in the region. We have recently finalized an agreement with CARICOM Impacts, which will enable the agency to equip itself with the latest software for information and intelligence sharing and enhance systems to track the movements of persons and cargo. In addition, AirCOP and CCOP, our trans-regional programs contrasting maritime and airborne illicit flows, are in full swing and will soon be joined by CrimJust, a project aiming at strengthening criminal investigation and criminal justice cooperation in Latin America, the Caribbean, and West African countries. With further reference to the rule of law, a 48-month EU-funded program on criminal justice reform will assist 8 countries in the Eastern Caribbean, including most of the RSS member states, in their efforts to reduce case backlogs by the provision of IT solutions and qualified expertise. The UNDP will implement this new program. Caribbean countries will also be eligible for the next phase of our El Pacto program that seeks to contribute to security and justice by supporting the fight against transnational organized crime. Previously limited to Latin American countries, its extension to Caribbean countries will contribute to strengthening operational contacts amongst beneficiary countries. I have outlined a number of security and judicial programs, but these represent only one aspect of our partnership. As we strengthen our cooperation with the region, the EU should not be seen as a mere financial donor, but as a strategic operational partner. In this way, we can deploy a wide range of expertise through our different programs and facilities. An example of this new approach was facilitation of the TAIEX workshop on cybersecurity held in Trinidad and Tobago in early March and delivered by experienced practitioners from our member states. Feedback from participants has been positive and provides confidence for the replication of such initiatives in a number of subjects relevant to your scope of work. I encourage the RSS management as well as national administrations from across the region to contact our delegation, and more specifically our team in charge for Partnership for Governance, Security and Human Development, which my colleague sitting next to me is part of, for more information on our initiatives. In an increasingly polarized world, you need to keep making your call on the partners you want to keep working with on security matters. I am sure that our proposals will continue to meet your interest, and I trust that our cooperation will expand and get even deeper in the months and years to come. Thanks again for having me here and for your kind attention. Commodore and his team know only too well what a great fan of RSS work I am, because we bring every single visitor to you whenever they come to Barbados, and that's always the first meeting on our agenda, which is immediately confirmed by you, and for that we're very grateful. I wish you a fruitful outcome of the meeting, having in mind the difficult issues you will have to discuss today, and be reassured that we will keep assisting your efforts in any possible way. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your support to the RSS and the importance you have placed on this organization as it relates to the design and implementation of security programming in the region. The RSS has regarded security as a multidimensional concept that is played out in our current security environment, which impacts on our socioeconomic development prospects for the region. We are very cognizant of this relationship, and it is for this reason that RSS is proud of the partnership it has built with the Caribbean Development Bank since 2017. Our next speaker, Dr. Jean Leon, is considered a development strategist in his own right and is passionate about Caribbean development in all of its dimensions. Dr. Leon is the president of the CDB, and at this time, I would like to invite him to deliver remarks on behalf of that organization.
Good morning, all. I surely will not break the trend of stating protocols having been observed. I will not go through the extensive list, but permit me, I need to at least acknowledge Honorable Prime Minister, the Chair of the Regional Security System Council of Ministers, and equally Prime Ministers Gonzalez of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Prime Minister Drew, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Prime Minister Pierre of St. Lucia. So first, let me begin by stating how very, very pleased I am to be here today and to address you on, I think, I'm going to call it a slightly different take on maybe what we all think security is about. And that's what I think it's my duty here, is to take us a little outside of the box, to probe a shade, and then see what we can benefit from that. So to begin, I want to take us back 20 years when the Secretary General of the UN made the following statement. It says, in the 21st century, all states and their collective institutions must advance the cause of larger freedom by ensuring freedom from want, freedom from fear, and freedom to live in dignity. In an increasingly interconnected world, progress in the areas of development, security, and human rights must go hand in hand. To be clear, I want to state there will be no development without security, and no security without development. And both security and development depend on respect for human rights and the rule of law. So this morning, what I want to do is to explain why this often ignored but inextricable link between security and development has been the lived reality for the countries of this region for decades. As countries in the Caribbean region, collectively we have faced and will continue to face a rapidly growing set of challenges, ranging from climate change and associated hydrometeorological impacts, the threat of geological hazards, including volcanoes, landslides, earthquakes, and external shocks such as the global economic and financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic. An under-focused issue is security, although it is arguable that it is the thread that runs through all of the above. Indeed, regional security issues have the potential to fuse together with increasing environmental and economic threats, thereby threatening broad-based instability to socio-economic conditions within the region. These age-old externalities and the associated connection to security and development all point to the fact that sustainable development must be holistic. To put it differently, it cannot be a slice taken from the development agenda for actioning through siloed interventions. Development, at best, must be a strategic interweaving exercise, bringing together multidisciplinary expertise, past experiences, and cultural knowledge to inform solutions to our biggest challenges. Why do I make that point? Because all the issues that we face in development are linked and evolving. We cannot separate or segment the parts if we are to achieve real change in this region. In fact, the nature of our development challenge is twofold. First, we need connectivity, like a glue, to hold the parts together as a whole. Let's think of this as a holistic system, as a sphere. This has three parts to it: physical connectivity, which is integrated logistics; digital connectivity, which is integrated information; and cultural connectivity, which is integrated people. That's connectivity. The second important point we need is to ensure that the system, which we are calling a sphere, evolves And when it does so, it remains a sphere. That is, you must have and must maintain systemic integrity for development to occur. Any deformity, for example, addressing issues in one part of the sphere, will prevent the sphere from advancing or moving the way it was designed to do. Any instability from anywhere in the system that cannot be reversed, which means it lacks resilience, will compromise the integrity of the system. Excellencies, simply put, systemic integrity is imperative for holistic development. And that translates to one word, stability. And stability in turns to one more word, security. So security, therefore, broadly defined, is at the heart of development. And so when I here represent the CDB as the development bank addressing you, the council and friends in the regional security system, I want to make the point that your job is under forecast. The role you play does not rise sufficiently high to where it ought to be, because at the root of everything that we do, that we call development, there has to be a security basis to generate the stability that can generate the means of systemic integrity to allow development to actually occur. So how do we pursue that development that I speak of? So let's also be very clear. We can and we must do better. While our various regional and international treaties and commitments to the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda have helped focus our minds on the necessity of preserving and improving the welfare and quality of life for communities, we have not attained a superlative delivery score. Let me equally be blunt. The pursuit of development starts and is maintained with a commitment to implementation. And with that, and only then, will we have delivery on development outcomes. So at CDB, we embrace that philosophy. And we believe that to achieve sustainable development, we must build a resilient ecosystem, one that encompasses all dimensions of resilience, including social resilience, financial resilience, environmental resilience, institutional resilience, and productive capacity resilience. And this has translated into areas of strategic priorities for us, including energy security, climate security, food and nutritional security, education and skills development, social protection, digital transformation, and innovation for economic diversification. And while the list sounds large, it is simply because we cannot treat one part and leave the others out, because then we will lose systemic integrity. Therefore, CDB's approach to holistic development is driven by multi-sectoral, multidisciplined, and multifaceted policy solutions. We contend that no single entity, individual, or group can accomplish sustainable development on its own. And therefore, we equally believe that sustainable development can only be achieved through partnerships. Partnerships in knowledge creation and dissemination, partnerships in financing, partnerships between the public and the private sectors, partnerships within the region, and partnerships between the region and the rest of the world. In other words, I want to leave you with one thought. We need to share to grow. Against that backdrop on development, let me zero in now on a little more specific interpretation of security. So similar to other regions around the world, security for the Caribbean entails mitigating against risks within and cross-border in almost all spheres of human and business activity. Security is therefore multi-pronged and encompasses, among other things, citizen security, economic security, food security, as well as environmental and climate security. And as I mentioned before, an instability in any of these, if not managed appropriately, will lower resilience buffers, weaken systemic integrity, and stymie our development efforts. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the nexus between security and sustainable development is not a new one, as this has been long recognized since the mercantilist era. Neither is it unique to the Caribbean region. But our mostly porous borders, along with the overlapping of exclusive economic zones, mean that we face significant challenges to the management of safe and legitimate movement of goods and people. This point highlights the fact that a more robust, collective, regional approach by all policy practitioners is necessary to achieve our full potential. I propose, therefore, that we move away from the current structure of bilateral support and discussions to a transformative agenda which puts regionally owned cooperative solutions and integration at the heart of security preparedness. There is no denying that such a transformative agenda will lead to improved conditions for sustaining economic growth and development from a regional perspective. This transformation agenda that I speak of is urgent. Let's start it today. Not tomorrow, not next year. Today. Why? Because the current socio-economic reality in our region is one that is marked with several setbacks, admittedly consistent with global trends. United Nations estimates that key development anchors in health, in education, and standards of living receded to 2016 levels following the overlapping crises of the COVID-19 pandemic, geopolitical tensions, natural disasters, and financial market shocks. Significantly, and here's an interesting statistic, more than 90% of countries witness at least a one-year loss in human development between 2020 and 2021. And that compares to 2008-2009, where 1 in 10 countries, 10%, lost ground after the global financial crisis. That is the extent of the setbacks that we are facing in this region. As a result, I believe that our region must transform rapidly, without pause, and innovatively to address inherent structural weaknesses to support a stronger and more resilient regional ecosystem, one that is well protected and secured, even in times of economic, social, and environmental uncertainty and distress. So let me now examine some specific aspects of security. First, there's the crime prevention programs. For us at CDB, these are critical components for resilience building in the development space. These programs can be highly effective when they address social conditions, such as inequalities, that contribute to crime, and when they create opportunities to reduce the marginalization of vulnerable groups. In other words, we need to measure that we can target better, because by doing this, we can tailor those programs to great development impact at the same time. Another significant element in our security and stability is the climate crisis. The Caribbean remains on the front line of climate change, facing some of the worst impacts, including more frequent and powerful storms, sea level rise, floods, and coastal degradation. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC 6th Assessment Report, updated only yesterday, indicates starkly that at a warming above 1.5 degrees centigrade, collapses in fisheries and biodiversity will imply significant economic decline and failures in livelihoods. I think we all know where our people live, between the watershed and the near shore and near offshore, and the potential risks we face in those areas that we call home. Now, this is particularly concerning for the socio-economic stability of the region, given the contributions of agriculture and tourism to GDP, and the fact that our countries are already facing the challenge of food insecurity. And as seen in 2017 and 2019, any gains can easily be reversed by a single climate-related event. So in taking a holistic approach to the intersection between security and development in the region, we must consider how citizen security is impacted by climate preparedness and resilience. According to the International Monetary Fund, limited climate adaptation raises the likelihood of impacts that can exacerbate inequalities and push people further into poverty. Such socioeconomic instability also raises the risk of crime, given that there is a high correlation that has been established between inequality and crime, studied on by the UNDP in 2021. So given these threats, there is greater need for the region to focus on climate action that directly or indirectly, through linkages, protects against the loss of economic and social stability. For its part, the CDB will continue to support the efforts towards building greater climate resilience for the achievement of sustainable development. Already, the bank is using its balance sheet and mobilizing concessionary resources to finance climate-related projects and to strengthen the enabling environment to support resilient climate actions. In 2022, the bank committed an estimated $41 million of its own funds towards climate change initiatives, mainly in energy and in infrastructure. These initiatives are designed to produce positive economic and social impacts. Turning to an example of development through collective action, I can think of no better example than the regional security system. It is clear that the RSS, by virtue of its mandate and delivery to date, embraces the multifaceted nature of security and its nexus with development. Commodore, I think I can speak on behalf of all in this room to say we appreciate greatly the contribution of the RSS to the regional development agenda. Over the years, the RSS has been on the front line for hydrometeorological and geological impacts and recovery, as well as the response to the pandemic. It embodies the spirit of collaboration towards the achievement of development initiatives and represents a real-life example of how small states can cooperate, collaborate, and pool resources to sustain recovery and stability efforts. If we take a lesson from any of our past experiences, we come to the clear realization that when it comes to development, we cannot prevent shocks, neither can we face them alone. But what we can do is we can prepare to withstand the impact by expanding our resilience ecosystems through strengthening our institutions, strengthening our societies, and making our economies a lot more resilient. Indeed, as we seek to rethink development in the region, founded on pillars of resilience, it will also be necessary to re-examine security as a regional public good, especially as a fourth pillar of integration. With shared values, experiences, and vulnerabilities, countries of the Caribbean region, in our view, are natural partners for resolving the potentially destabilizing circumstances we can face. In my view, the time has come for us to recognize the benefits that can accrue from shared ownership and shared costs towards the long-term success in addressing security and in creating an enabling bedrock for economic resilience and sustainability. In fact, I believe that there has never been a more opportune time for us to strengthen our collaboration and reinforce our mutual purpose through a holistic approach. In assessing this forward-looking path, we can all recognize that the regional security framework is a strategic component in our integrated development agenda that cannot be separated from the pillars of economic, environmental, and social resilience. Taking this approach means that we need to reflect on how to strategically solidify security as a regional public good, and on how we must rethink our approach to cooperation and collaboration with strategic development partners. Let me highlight two issues that I think can stymie our progress. The first relates to the approach to donor financing provisions, which are limited to direct bilateral channels, as opposed to a cooperative framework aimed at addressing gaps throughout the regional security landscape. Continuing with the current approach, again in our view, implies that a continued pursuit of segmented solutions to what are regional challenges will be less likely to achieve comprehensive and sustainable results. The second relates to the ownership of the security space by key actors in the area. Currently, specific country innovations appear to be driven by access to specific development partner financing. In the spirit of regional collaboration and development outcomes, taking this holistic view that I talk of, should we not re-examine how to build complementarity and regional public value through stronger coordination between development partner agendas and the execution of the regional framework? Excellencies, let me again reiterate that we need to make a strong call for the fundamental shift to cooperation, collaboration, and financing that ensures there is regional ownership and direction of the security framework. To achieve this, we need to find appropriate financing mechanisms, and I'd like to equally propose such as the establishment of a regional trust fund that will ensure a programmatic and, importantly, a sustainable approach to maintaining regional security. I therefore crave your indulgence in considering this worthwhile initiative at this RSS conference, and clearly an initiative that CDB is prepared to champion. As I said, time is running out. Not tomorrow, not next year. Let's start today. So let's turn to the role of CDB. I think we can start by indicating CDB considers itself as a strategic partner of the region's security agenda. In the past, we have worked with the RSS to support the achievement of its strategic objectives, to enhance the maritime security capacity of member states, and to counter threats of transnational organized crime and cybercrime that have the potential to curtail our trade performance by destabilizing territorial integrity, maritime sovereignty, and border security. CDB provided financing to a landmark project in collaboration with the RSS to develop an inclusive regional maritime security strategy and an overarching territorial integrity security policy that would also assist RSS member states in developing integrated and cohesive frameworks for national security strategies in accordance with CARICOM Crime and Security Strategy 2013. The bank's commitment and collaboration to prioritize regional security as a public good was also demonstrated through the CARIFORUM, European Union, EPA, and CSME Standby Facility for Capacity Building project titled Establishment of Integrated Border Systems for the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States. The project is being implemented through a strategic partnership with the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security Impacts and the European Union. It leverages technological advancements and cooperation to improve the collection and use of data for enhancing border systems operations and safety through a maritime single window. Countries will also benefit from the establishment of a risk management framework that assists their customs administrations in strengthening safety and security across the region. The end goal of this 30-month holistic initiative is increased private sector competitiveness. That to be achieved through more secure and efficient port systems that can attract greater trade opportunities with global markets. And if I can indulge you in a little bit of imagination, I am sure you will agree that the establishment of a single secure digital grid, connected digital government systems, and increased use of technological advances in data analytics and intelligence systems can take that regional public value of this particular initiative to even higher levels than where it has attained today. This, in my view, could be labeled sequential development. Through those interventions, the bank has shown that it is willing to be a key player with the region's security agencies to promote security as a regional public good and to approach its support from a programmatic sense. Excellencies, before I close, let me take this opportunity to again emphasize 2 points that have been the theme of my presentation. As regional institutions, working alongside strategic development partners, we need to challenge ourselves to innovate, to lead and support the region as we seek to overcome the many development challenges we face. Second, with security as a regional public good and as the fourth pillar of integration within the Caribbean, specifically the CSME, the Caribbean requires a bold and ambitious shift from bilateral support to involvement of regional institutions, such as the CDB and the RSS, in roles for which they were originally designed, that is, to foster sustainable development in the region. So in closing, allow me to express my sincere thanks to the RSS and Commodore Sherland for their ongoing commitment and partnership through specialized technical expertise that strategically positions regional security at the foundation of sustainable development for our member countries. CDB looks forward to building on those synergies through continued joint efforts to achieve a more prosperous and resilient region, one that improves lives and livelihoods of people through security mechanisms that successfully provide innovative and integrated solutions to current socio-economic vulnerabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leon, for that thought-provoking speech highlighting the prioritization of regionally owned solutions to our multidimensional crime and security problems in the region. RSS looks forward to strengthening the relationship with the bank as we seek to nurture lasting bonds of friendship with our strategic allies towards the sustainable development of our region. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our opening session for this morning, and I wish to thank the honorable members of the RSS Council, the EU and US ambassadors, Dr. Leon, and the forces commanders, and other specially invited guests for taking the time this morning to acknowledge the work of this unique and results-oriented organization. Before we close, I just want to remind the honorable members of the Council of Ministers for the RSS and your excellencies and the RSS forces commanders, the ED and the RSS team to remain behind so that you can be escorted for the official photo engagement immediately after the opening ceremony. A pleasant good morning to you all.